I'm Joslyn Ewart, founding principal of Entrust Financial. I'm often asked, how did you transition from being an inner city music teacher for the school district of Philadelphia to starting your own business? Well, it took an unflappable sense of purpose and motivation. But after 20 years of teaching, I knew it was time to move on. And when I was trying to figure out move on to what, financial services really appealed to me because of some experiences from my past. The first experience that was very memorable was that money was not handled well when I was growing up. In fact, it was a consuming worry of my mother. She would rant every day about how we were already out of money. My dad didn't get paid for a couple more weeks. She didn't know how we were going to even be able to eat for the rest of the month. Then I had an aha moment when I started teaching. I was so excited. I finally had my first job. And my new colleagues, while everybody bemoaned the fact that teachers' salaries weren't particularly good, would remind one another that, well, when that wonderful day of getting that pension came 35 years later, that Pennsylvania school teacher's pension would be the magic bullet and make it all worthwhile. So I thought, well, let me ask my favorite grandmother about that. My grandmother lived in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and she was living on a school teacher's pension earned by my grandfather, my late grandfather, after 40 years of serving as a high school biology teacher. Well, in those days, her pension was barely enough to put food on the table and gas in her car. That got my attention. So I started saving very aggressively in my early 20s. Now, 20 years later, when I was ready to make a transition, I had the financial stability that I needed to make a decision to move in a new direction. Of course, it took a lot of preparation, not surprisingly. Some of the highlights of my preparation were working with a business coach for a couple of years. I got my feet wet in financial advising, working with teachers, a demographic I knew well, and I spent several years preparing with formal education, the pinnacle of which was attaining my Certified Financial Planner designation in 1999. I was ready. I was ready to establish my financial advising firm, Entrust Financial, which I did in 2000. Now, as I mentioned before, it takes an unflappable sense of purpose and motivation. And I think one of my best illustrations of the fact that my passion for creating a better life experience for clients remained undiminished over the years is in my choice of a business partner. By 2008, I knew it was time for me to look around and find another financial advisor to join me in the firm, hopefully to become a partner at some point. Well, picture this. I'm a woman who before long will be described as chronologically challenged. And when I needed to find a business partner, not only did I choose another woman to join me in the firm, but I chose a woman who is considerably younger, taller, and beautiful. Now that's what I call a sense of purpose.